all about improving efficiency with our workouts in order to target more areas during the same workout so that you don't have to work out for longer in order to get stronger. So I find this to be especially important and helpful for my busy moms who are already strapped for time and figuring out different ways to add more core strength work into their existing workouts without having to insert more minutes in order to do so. So today I'm sharing my top 3 tips in order to increase core activation into your existing workouts. And the other extra bonus is these 3 different types of ways of loading also transfer very well into regular daily life. And that's the other important piece that I find especially essential when I'm doing strength training. It needs to be functional, not just for my workout, but also for what it's helping me to be more effective doing in day-to-day life and future workouts. So the first thing I want to go over is what I call an asymmetrical load. So I'm going to use a kettlebell in this case, but you could absolutely use a dumbbell if that is what you have available. And I like to take that weight and stack it up on my shoulder. And then from here, go about doing squats, lunges, farmer carries as we're walking, all of those types of movements in order to challenge my rib cage staying stacked over my pelvis. So in this way, for example, as I'm squatting, the other important thing I want you to be thoughtful of is when we're loaded on one side that we're not then leaning towards that side. The goal is to have a heavy enough weight that challenges us, but that we can maintain midline throughout each movement that we are adding this to. So as I squat, I want to be thoughtful that I can still maintain midline and not feel like I have to shift over because of the weight being stacked only on one side. Okay? So asymmetrical loading can happen up at the top. It can also happen down below in what we call more of a suitcase carry. And in this case, same rules apply. And so as you lower and lift, you're still maintaining that midline connection of your rib cage stacked right over your pelvis. Okay, so that's the first example. The second way that you can incorporate extra core work is to use 2 different weights of various capacities. So for example, I have an 18-pound kettlebell, and then I'm going to pick up a 25-pound kettlebell here. This is very much real life when you're thinking about grocery bags, suitcases, maybe you're carrying and pushing a stroller while also grabbing another bag. Lots of different places in day-to-day life where we are having to hold and move different capacities of weight. So best way to be ready for that in real life is to also incorporate it into our strength training sessions. So similar, we can have both of the weights down by our side, kind of in a suitcase carry position, doing squats here, and being thoughtful again that we're staying in midline. This is also another great way to train farmer carries, where we're walking here and doing something like a lunge. This requires a little bit more stability and core strength and hip strength in order to achieve this asymmetrical loading with a more narrow stance like a lunge requires. So adding another level of difficulty here as well. Something else I like to do with these 2 different weights is I also like to rack one up top and one down below while going through all of the same movements that I just described. This type of asymmetrical loading at different places on our torso and down at our hip also is a great way to require more core strength without having to insert more minutes into your workout. Okay, so feel free to play with which weight is going to be racked up, which weight is going to be racked down below, and playing with that in your various workouts to get the best bang for your buck. Okay? And then finally, another place that I like to add a little bit more core work is during my upper body workouts, requiring myself to stand on one leg during some of those moves in order to work on balance and ankle strength, which is essential for our running, but also to require my core to have to do a little bit more work keeping my pelvis level and also keeping my rib cage stacked over my one leg. So what do I mean by that? I can take my weights here. I'm using the same amount on either side, but again, keeping with the theme, you could absolutely mix up your weights too for an extra fun challenge. So here, I'm gonna stand on one leg, marching it all the way up, really driving my heel down into the ground to squeeze that same side glute. And then here, I am doing my hammer curls. I could do one side at a time to add a different challenge. I could also be doing that same kind of top rack, lower rack, and doing overhead presses. You can really get creative with all of these as you're going through what you would have done for your upper body workout and just mixing it up by having to stand on one leg during different sets. So to recap, 3 ways to incorporate core work into your existing routine without having to add extra minutes. Number 1, use one weight on one side to go through your exercises like farmer carries, squats, lunges, things like that, to add a different type of load and capacity. Number 2, using 2 different size weights and stacking them either at the same location or different locations to mix up that same challenge through all of the same types of moves. And then number 3, standing on one leg while doing your upper body work as you would have, but requiring your system to have to organize differently, standing over one leg rather than over both. So I hope these 3 tips were helpful, and I hope they give you some creativity to add into your existing workouts and also show you how you can continue to be even more efficient with your time, and that more minutes does not necessarily have to require more strength. We can incorporate it all in less time than you think. So I'd love to know if you have any questions, comments, feel free to drop them below. And also, which one of these 3 are you going to throw into your workout this week to up that core strength while rocking out your existing workout routine? Thanks for joining me on this week's episode, and I look forward to catching you next time.